Well, Kurt, this is definitely not England. It's certainly not Ireland.
And we're definitely not in the West Indies.
So what? We're not going to win the match?
Welcome, Sports Nation, to Sports DTM, the sports channel where we call sports down the middle. You can expect the latest in sports news, views, and reviews from our resident analysts. No sports topic is too controversial, and no team or player is above criticism. So just smash that subscribe button and ring that notification bell to make sure you don't miss out on our balanced offering of riveting sports content. And don't forget to like, share, and leave a comment below. Welcome to Sports DTM.
Greetings, Sports DTM fans, and welcome to another episode of Sports Down the Middle, your channel of undiluted sports content. In studio, we have Raymond, Adrian, and I, and we're going to be talking about the upcoming ODI series against India. This is the West Indies tour of India for 3 ODI matches. Raymond, what do you feel about this tour?
I'm still on the high from the last game against England. I know ODI is a different kettle of fish. I know ODI, the West Indies is not so excited to play that. But I'm actually excited to see what they have to offer against another top-ranked team. So let's see how it goes. But it's some form of excitement. After the first match, we know how exactly to feel if I'm going to be taken down from that big high pedestal that we are on.
Adrian, are you just as excited?
I'm not sure what type of excitement Race carrying over. I mean, we're on an eye coming off that big series victory against England, but certainly we're going over to India with bigger pitches, spin bowling, so I'm not sure how to feel. There's a little bit of nerve that's settling in.
You're the one who is always talking about your coffee. The matches will be early in the morning, so
get your soursop out, leave tea out. Yep. Get your pressure tablets ready. This is the West Indies, so yeah.
When it comes to the West Indies and India, they have been competing from long before we were born. They have played 133 matches between them. India slightly edge, 64, West Indies 63. 2 matches tied, 4 no result. So the ratio is 50-49. Raymond, in the last 5 matches the West Indies played, including that series against Ireland that we want to forget, they have won 2 and they have lost 3. India, on the other hand, though a top team and ranked 4th in the world right now, they have played 5 matches as well. In their last 5 matches, they have lost 4 and they have only won 1. They're coming off a terrible tour to South Africa. So both teams have suffered losses in their last 2 games. Who you think have the edge going into this series?
Curtis, that must have been a trick question. I mean, 2 teams face 2 different type of opponents, 2 different type of touring. One was at home and one was away. So, it must be a trick question. Clearly, as much as a terrible form right now India's in, you have to bear in mind who their last opponent was, and as well as what grounds they faced that opponent on. And West Indies was at home. So, they didn't do well. So clearly, in my humblest opinion, is actually India should, India have the nod. Given the opponent and where the matches were staged, India, could pretty much have the nod over West Indies.
Adrian, I don't know if you share the same view, but when India toured South Africa recently, right, we noticed they looked down. They looked like they never had everything together, and they actually changed captain going into this series. West Indies, on the other hand, also looked out of sort. I don't know. Raymond on several occasions said they're rebuilding, but we see some old man are coming at the team. And do you share the same view that India have the edge going into this particular?
Well, if we were to look at the matches played and the winning percentages, it would appear that this is a dead eat contest. But the truth is that the West Indians would have dominated this fixture years ago, and now the Indians have flipped the switch. As a matter of fact, India is ranked probably number 4 in ODI versus the West Indies at number 8. They played against a South African team which was number 5. So they talk about number 5, number 4, and as such, a much closer opposition. Make no mistake about it. I'm sure Karen Pollard will want to tell us and convince us that the West Indies are up to the task to face India over in India. But I'm not convinced just yet. As the series against Ireland showed how frail the West Indies were in their backyard, and now going over to India, where it's a different type of climate, similar to that happened over in the UAE for the World Cup. I'm just a little careful and not getting too excited just yet. And I'll just fair to say, make us a believer. Pollard and company, step up to the plate. Let's see how you walk out. Let's see how you if you're able to hold your bat straight. Let's see how if you're able to manage a spin. Let's see if you're able to actually put some runs on the board. And if you can also bowl out the Indians, let's see how the West Indies approaches this one and plays.
Whenever the West Indies and India play, Raymond, there is always a high-scoring game. And in the last 5 matches, though, India leading 5-0. And the last match, which was played in December 2019, over 600 runs was scored in that match. India winning that one. I hear you say that them hold the edge, but West Indies going into this with some players who want to represent themselves in the IPL. Will that make a difference in how they approach these matches? Money on the line.
Well, it should. We're hoping that it does. If it works out, then we'd actually get a chance to win 1 or 2 games and probably even win the series. But it kind of feel highly unlikely, because India themselves actually want to make a good showing at home after such a terrible tour in South Africa. They want to actually come home now and give their fans something to cheer about. And the fans in India view cricket. I mean, if they're not performing, you're gonna have problems. You're gonna have big problems there. So guess what? The Indian cricketers, are aware of their fans and want to please them. And as such, I honestly see them going all out. And not to mention the same thing that Adrian spoke about with spinners and stuff like that. It's going to be really tricky. It's going to be really tricky. It's almost as you even described World Cup all over again, in the sense that batting on those pitch with spinners and all of that. And even the bowlers we have, if they're able to get the ball turned and get some pace out of the pitch, because those pitch are a little different. In fact, pretty much full on different than the ones we have in the Caribbean. So it's going to be very, very tricky.
And talking about the players that we have, I'm going to share with you that Desmond Ian's first team selection, Adrian, for this tour to India, and Pollard, whose record is still up for grabs when it comes to ODI, leads the team. We see some standout names: Banner, Bravo, Roach. Kemar Roach stand out for me, Adrian, because he has not played T20 or ODI since 2019, but he's from Barbados, like this selector. And he gets the nod.
But I tell you what, Kurt, he's from Barbados, but on the point of Kemar Roach, I'm not so sure upon what basis he would have been brought in. But again, we do recall that a player like O'Shane Thomas didn't do himself any good in Jamaica while they played against Ireland in terms of taking wickets, taking a notch. But not so sure what a Kemar Roach would bring to the table. But Bonner, who is obviously a test player, would have done himself well over the last year or two, and not so well known for his one-day international skills. But obviously, the selection panel would have seen enough to convince them that a player like Bonner is needed in this team. Spare thought for Kieran Pollard, who still remains as captain despite a not overall impressive run. But the truth is that the one day internationals fall right before the IPL auction. IPL being a T20 tournament, bright lights are there, and as such, most of the matches are played. The ODIs that is are played before it, and as such, it may work in a good way for people to be aggressive, but it may also work in a bad way, talking about a 20 over game versus a 50 over game. And so the players may be a little bit confused. You're playing a 50 over game, but will you approach it like a 20 over game? And so it may spell disaster for the West Indies, which is why a player like Bonner is brought in to kind of temper some of what is going on, because he's not looking obviously for an IPL contract. Or is he?
Raymond, I see Darren Bravo here. On several occasions, we spoke about Bravo being the most experienced batter that we have. He has gotten a chance in the T20. He didn't deliver at all. We saw him batting at 9, 10, and 11. He's a player who has played over 100 matches for the West Indies, scoring over 3,000 runs, average 30, little, 400, 1850s. Still the most experienced batter we have. Him getting another opportunity, though in the ODI this time. Should he have been there? Or
To be honest with you, this would be the better format of the game for Bravo. We find that sometimes, you saw him playing in T20, but a bit slow. This format of the game would actually help him. It's just a matter of him using, the mental wits and all to ensure that he plays the right selection of shots. But there's some time, you don't need a super high run rate. You would love to, but you don't necessarily need one. It's a matter of stabilizing in some parts of the game and ensuring that you're able to, select the right shots at any given time. So this format, as I said before, would help him. Hopefully, he's not one of those chasing like the bright lights on the IPL contract and not do the batter pan catch, because, but as I said, that's not his game. His game is really slow and has some method behind it. We're just hoping that he is able to put down some runs and help his team, gets a good score on the board.
Brandon King get an opportunity, Adrian. We normally see him in the T20 and finally in the ODI side. Should Myers also have been in this side based on his performance in the last couple of T20s? We notice him playing Test cricket and T20. I'm sure he can transition to the middle to play ODI too.
Well, certainly, we could have had. It's good to see Brandon King in this ODI team. I think he had some good punch at the start of the innings. He will complement, for example, an Nkrumah Bonner pretty well in terms of starting out at the top there, and should do pretty well. When you're talking about Kyle Myers, showed some good glimpses in the last set of T20s. Not so sure if he has the same temperament for the ODI game, but could have also been included in this squad to add some depth to the batting lineup. But yeah, it would have been useful to have him there. But what are your options in terms of that you'd have left out? That's to be seen.
I mean, I can call names. Evan Lewis is left out. Ekmar is not there. Narayan. I mean, what West Indies?
Narayan is still playing for the West Indies.
I don't know. Him always in India, so I guess it would cost the West Indies one plane ticket less to pick him. But we move on, right? Since the West Indies is moving on without them, we move on. But we need some answers as to why they're not playing. We heard Etmar, but some people say this yo-yo testing seems like is a cover-up. The team them facing Raymond, India. Immediately some names jump out at you. The Virat Kohli, who is probably one of the greatest batsmen of our generation. The captain, the new captain, Rohit Sharma, both of them have played over 200 matches. They've scored over 9,000 runs. Sharma 2,900, Virat 43. I mean,
yeah, it is. You know, it's almost like a star-studded team. When you hear Virat Kohli, Sharma, it almost seems like West Indies is up against a serious dynasty in a sense. But we all know India is going through some would say a leadership transition. Kohli was at the helm for the longest period, but Sharma with a lot of experience sits there, you know, pretty much almost like his right-hand man. So he understands, and so I'm not expecting much deviation for what Kohli was doing. And as such, I'm not expecting too much fall off in performance, with a feeling or batting, and especially bowling from the spinners. I'm not expecting any much deviation at all. And so, you know, persons might think that with a new captain, India might be there for the taking, but I don't see that happening. And with this side, which is, as I said, a strong team, I'm really expecting India to really push through.
Adrian, who do you see as the standout player for this Indian team? We just mentioned Kohli, Sharma. Both of them are ranked in the top 3. Sharma at 3, Kohli at 2 in ODI batting. And Darwan is also in the top 20. He's ranked 15. And these are all players who have scored or have played over 140 matches for India. They have a lot of experience, more than all of the West Indies team combined. It is going to be an uphill battle.
Yeah, certainly going to be an uphill battle. But you're talking about a Sharma, a Kohli, a Darwan. Those are names that can roll off your tongue. You're looking for probably a Bumrah, but you're not seeing that. So the question is, who are the other players that the West Indies should be fearing? I'm sure the Indians will somehow pull out some mystery spinner that we haven't heard about before in this particular series. And then you'll be having rave reviews. They also have a point to prove going into the IPL auction, mega auction. I think February 11 to 12 or 12 to 13 thereabout. And as such, it's expected that they will also want to come to the party in a big way to actually show that they are worth every penny and to be taken pretty highly. So this is expected to be a very competitive Indian team with a lot of players there to prove. We know that Virat Kohli has been under a lot of pressure recently, whether he should stay, whether he should go, whether he should have been the captain, etc. And as such, he's also coming off under some amount of pressure from the Indian fans, media. So therefore, this is an opportunity for him to, of course, prove his worth. We know that he's a very popular player across the subcontinent. And as such, I'm sure he will want to show his worth during this series.
And just to add that, Virat average against the West Indies is 72.09.
Oh no!
He has scored 9 centuries and 11 50s. So one of them team that him always score enough runs again. So your bowler is going to need to be on point in order to destroy this Indian lineup. But Ray, you mentioned India have the upper hand, but for this test match, first one-day match, what does the West Indies need to do to win?
Well, it's hard to say, but I was thinking that they should do more of the same from the. I know it's T20 versus one day, but more of the same from a positive outlook, as well as from a strong mental approach to the entire game. Hopefully, we're able to get some spinners, showing their class and skills. Hopefully that happens. But if it doesn't, where we will have some young stars, coming to the forefront, being able to get that lucrative IPL contract. So yeah, I'm hoping that West Indies exercise a lot of mental fortitude and push through. I'm hoping that happens.
Adrian, what does India need to do to win this first match?
Well, as I said before, India is 4, West Indies is 8. India needs to perform to their optimum level. They need to be able to dominate the West Indies, particularly with the bat, put the West Indies under some pressure, because we know that they will be faced with a tough time in terms of putting runs on the board on the bigger pitches over there in India, along with the spin being there, and we know that the West Indies had a tough time over there in the UAE at the World Cup. So India is expected to try to replicate what happened over there in the UAE. But granted that they also struggled over there in the UAE, surprisingly. So they won't want to repeat that again. And so they're looking to dominate the West Indies.
So basically, fans out there, both teams have need to prove a point here, right? They're both coming off heavy defeats to minnows and strong opposition. West Indies losing to Ireland, and we still can't get over it, and India losing to South Africa 3-0 in South Africa. Both teams have a point to prove. Some players might want to show the Indian auctioneers that they're ready to get some money, right? While the Indians need to prove that them still number 4 ranked or move up the ranking. Fans out there, we would love to hear from you. Another exciting series coming up, West Indies versus India. This is always an exciting matchup. West Indies, India, years upon years upon years. Exciting cricket. Tendulkar, Lara, Gill, Chandapal, the works. Fans out there would love to hear from you. What's your thoughts on this series? Who you think are going to win? Who are going to be the game changer? You think Holder can get another 4-4? Leave all those comments in the comment section below. And always remember to like, to share, and to subscribe. And to tell a friend, tell a friend, tell a friend, tell a friend, tell all of them friends to come and join the Sports DTM family. Ray, Adrian, and I signing out. Be blessed.